of bass guitar, certain names are etched permanently into music history. Jaco Pastorius, Bootsy Collins, James Jamerson, Larry Graham. Each of them didn't just play bass, they redefined what the instrument could be. And yet, in the past decade, a new voice emerged, not loud, not flashy, not surrounded by excess, but precise, joyful, relentlessly groovy. His name is Joe Dart. As the bassist of Vulfpeck, Joe Dart has quietly led a funk revolution for the digital age, crafting bass lines that feel timeless, deeply musical, and irresistibly human. His playing bridges generations, connecting the soul of classic funk and R&B with the clarity, minimalism, and viral reach of modern music culture. This is the story of how Joe Dart built some of the greatest funk bass lines ever recorded, and why his approach to rhythm, harmony, intensity, and feel has reshaped how the bass is heard in the 21st century. Before we continue, subscribe now, like this video, comment, and share. Joe Dart was born on April 18, 1991, in Harbor Springs, Michigan, a small town far removed from the traditional epicenters of funk and soul. But groove doesn't require geography, it requires exposure. Joe picked up the bass at just 8 years old, initially drawn to the instrument through the explosive energy of Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. That early influence introduced him to slap technique, aggressive articulation, and the idea that bass could be expressive, athletic, and melodic all at once. However, his musical education didn't stop there. At home, Joe's parents played records by Stevie Wonder, Prince, Earth, Wind and Fire, the Jackson 5, Tower of Power. These artists introduced him to the deeper vocabulary of funk and soul. Music where groove wasn't about speed, but about feel, space, and conversation between instruments. By his teenage years, Joe was already internalizing rhythmic nuance, learning that note placement matters more than note quantity, a principle that would later define his entire career. Joe Dart enrolled at the University of Michigan, where he studied jazz performance. There, he met 3 musicians who would change the course of his life: Jack Stratton, keyboards, bandleader; Theo Katzman, drums, guitar, vocals; Woody Goss, keyboards. In 2011, the 4 formed Vulfpeck. At first glance, the band looked unconventional. Minimal gear, casual aesthetics, humor-driven videos. But behind the playful surface was a deeply intentional musical philosophy. Jack Stratton envisioned Vulfpeck as a modern answer to classic rhythm sections, inspired by Motown house bands, Muscle Shoals recordings, 1970s funk session players. Joe Dart's bass was positioned not as decoration, but as structural glue, the element that held harmony, rhythm, and energy together. Vulfpeck's sound is deceptively simple. The arrangements are sparse, the mixes are clean. Every note has a purpose. This approach leaves nowhere to hide, especially for the bass. Joe Dart's playing became immediately recognizable because of extreme rhythmic precision, clear articulation, deep pocket awareness, an almost conversational relationship with the drums. Rather than overpowering the music, his lines invite listeners into the groove. This philosophy mirrors classic funk traditions, where the bass doesn't scream for attention, it earns it. Joe Dart's technical approach is rooted in restraint. Rather than emphasizing speed or complexity, he focuses on fingerstyle clarity, ghost notes for rhythmic texture, left-hand muting, dynamic control, consistent articulation. His right-hand technique emphasizes economy of motion, allowing him to play fast passages with remarkable clarity while maintaining warmth and groove. Crucially, Joe understands that technique serves expression, not ego. Every slide, hammer-on, or muted note exists to support the groove, never to distract from it. One of Joe Dart's defining strengths is his ability to create harmonic richness through rhythmic motion, even when chord progressions are minimal. Rather than outlining full chords explicitly, he suggests harmony through motion, uses passing tones sparingly, leverages repetition as a storytelling device. This approach allows listeners to feel harmony rather than analyze it, a hallmark of great funk and soul music. Released in 2016, Dean Town quickly became one of the most iconic bass tracks of the modern era. The title itself is a tribute, a nod to Teen Town by Jaco Pastorius. But while Jaco's line is harmonically dense and virtuosic, Joe Dart's approach is rhythmically obsessive and groove-centric. Why Dean Town works. Harmony. The progression is minimal, allowing rhythmic complexity to shine. Rhythm. Rapid 16th note groupings create forward momentum without clutter. Intensity. Accents and rests generate tension and release. Sensation. The line feels like a living organism, breathing, pushing, pulling. It's a masterclass in controlled energy. In contrast to Dean Town, Back Pocket demonstrates Joe Dart's mastery of understatement. The bass line locks tightly with the kick drum, uses repetition as a hypnotic device, leaves space for vocals and melody. Here, Joe functions as both timekeeper and emotional anchor, proving that groove doesn't require complexity, only intention. Though often associated with fingerstyle, Joe Dart incorporates slap technique strategically, not as a gimmick, but as punctuation. His slap lines emphasize tight muting, percussive clarity, minimalist phrasing. Ghost notes play a crucial role in his sound, filling rhythmic gaps and enhancing groove without overwhelming harmony. What truly separates Joe Dart from many technically skilled bassists is feel. He often plays slightly ahead of the beat for momentum, slightly behind for laid-back grooves. These micro-timing decisions give his lines elasticity, a human quality that machines can't replicate. His dynamic control ensures that grooves evolve subtly, keeping listeners engaged even during repetitive patterns. Joe Dart's collaboration with Ernie Ball Music Man resulted in one of the most iconic modern bass designs: one pickup, one volume knob, no tone control. This minimalist design reflects his philosophy. If it sounds good in your hands, that's the tone. The instrument removes distractions, forcing the player to focus on touch, timing, and feel. Beyond Vulfpeck, Joe Dart plays with the Fearless Flyers, a high-energy instrumental funk group featuring Corey Wong, Nate Smith, Mark Lettieri. This project showcases a more aggressive, groove-forward side of his playing while maintaining clarity and musicality. Joe Dart's influence extends far beyond viral clips. He has inspired a new generation of bassists to value groove over flash, prioritize feel over speed, embrace minimalism, study rhythm deeply. His approach represents a return to musical fundamentals, updated for a digital audience. Joe Dart didn't reinvent funk. He reminded us why it works. By honoring the past while embracing the present, he built bass lines that are joyful, intelligent, and unforgettable. His grooves don't demand attention, they earn it. And in doing so, Joe Dart has secured his place not just as a great bassist, but as a defining voice of modern groove. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. See you in the next video.